know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
Back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Andre Creighton. As always, I'm excited to be here with you all tonight and to be able to provide a little bit more knowledge and continue to move forward in our process of building the foundation that we need to be able to continue to scale ourselves and our businesses. So today, we're going to talk about taxes and why your taxes continue to catch you off guard. But first, I want to thank you all for continuing to tune in to the episodes. I really appreciate it. It means a ton, and hopefully you're getting something fruitful out of this relationship as well. And for those that are new, welcome to the podcast. I hope that you find a point or two that you can take away today that maybe you didn't know, or maybe you have a point or two that you might want to share with a friend that can help them along their journey. But I really appreciate you all. I also want to take a moment, we are in some very unprecedented times with what's happening here in America, and specifically in Minnesota, in my home state, just with all of the ICE invading Minnesota and attacking people on the streets, and just a lot of things that are setting us backwards, and quite frankly, a lot of things that are causing a lot of people a lot of trauma. So I just want to take some time to just say that I'm still hopeful that better days are ahead of us, and that we will be able to turn the stone on this and be able to move forward. And I'm going to challenge all of you to do the hard work, do the hard work in showing up and helping your neighbors, do the hard work in being kind, do the hard work in really being an advocate for what's right and what's wrong. And if you have been on the other side of this, where you were maybe promoting or open to what's currently happening, and this looks a lot different than what you had envisioned it would look like, it's not too late for you to say, hey, I was wrong, and I need to speak out on this now, and that we need to have some change. So with that said, I'm going to jump right in. So most people don't dread taxes because they don't understand them. They dread taxes because they feel behind, maybe they felt surprised, or maybe they feel they should have known better. And I think, being someone that started their career in tax and has worked with a lot of high net worth individuals, but also a lot of different businesses, whether partnerships, S corps, corporations, etc. From a tax perspective, I can understand that unsettling feeling of being behind or feeling surprised, right? Because at the end of the day, you might be really good at your lane, which is being the visionary. I can scale a business, and my business is thriving, but maybe optimizing your taxes or optimizing your position has not been on the forefront of your mind. So oftentimes those surprises come. And I think that's where I always say that it's so important to find yourself a good CPA, because a good CPA can help you uh, avoid some of those things that might surprise you come March April timeframe. So honestly, tax pain usually shows up after growth, and what that means is that if you are feeling a lot of tax pain, that likely means that financially you have grown in some shape or form, whether that is you're making more W-2 money, or maybe you have a side gig and you're making a nice penny on that side, or maybe you own a business and you have some passive income that's flowing through to a K-1, or maybe you inherited some money from your family that's being invested through a trust, or whatever it may be. Um, Whenever there's tax pain, oftentimes that means that there's growth. And us being able to be prepared for that growth and be proactive is what sets a lot of people that end up being able to handle what's coming from a tax perspective or tax bill perspective versus those that now have a tax burden that continues to follow them for years to come, right? Um, and it is a domino effect, right? If you don't plan, say you get, you had a year in sales and you had a great year and you got a bunch of commission checks, and um, let's say that that income puts you into a higher tax bracket, and if you hadn't planned for that, now couple that with maybe your spouse's income, couple that with maybe some real estate or some other investment things that you're doing, and now you might have a real tax problem, right? So it's just important for us to be mindful of this. And if you are feeling like, yeah, I missed the ball on this year, make sure you get your taxes filed on time this coming tax filing. And then right after, I would say, don't wait another year and say, hey, and say the same thing that you're saying right now. Right after the taxes have been filed for this year, go and sit with your CPA and say, hey, I want to put together a tax plan. I want to maybe pay in quarterly estimates, if that makes sense, because I have to pay every single year. Or maybe I'm getting a large refund, and maybe I want to work with someone to say, what should I actually be having taken out from a withholding standpoint, so that I keep more of my money throughout the year and I'm not giving the government a free loan. So let's talk about why tax paying is a success problem. So taxes don't hurt when income is flat. When your income is staying flat and maybe year over year it's not changing very much, like your situation isn't changing, right? So as long as the tax laws aren't evolving year to year, which they do, but for the most part, the tax brackets don't change year to year. So if you're staying flat from an income perspective, likely your tax situation's not changing very much. Now, they hurt when income grows. They hurt when income changes from from Y to X to Z, right? They hurt when income becomes less predictable. So maybe you're in a job where you've stepped out and you're a consultant and you're no longer working in a corporation, and you're highly dependent on bringing in the leads and turning them into clients. Well, there could be some seasonality in that, right? It could be, hey, I'm a CFO and I work with people on FP&A and budgeting, right? And this is an example. And um, maybe a primary part of my work is I help people with their budgets. Well, we know that budget time comes around October, November. So maybe that's where there's a spike in income during that, Q3, late Q3, early Q4. Um, but and maybe not so much throughout the year. So, you know, predictability can be very harmful when it comes to tax planning, because it's really hard to plan if you don't know. So growth creates higher marginal rates. So it might move you into a different tax bracket. You could be phased out of things depending on what the thresholds are for either single or married filing joint, et cetera, et cetera. Or maybe you have exposure to self-employment tax, right? So at the end of the day, whenever you're growing in your financial foundation or enterprise that you're building personally, there's always going to be some tax paying. So here's some common surprises people don't plan for. The number one is like side income and 1099 work. So with side income and 1099 work, there's no automatic withholding. So much like your W-2, when um, you pick your exemptions, uh, you maybe you're claiming one federally and in whatever state you're in. Well, there's withholding being taken out against your paycheck every time you receive one, which obviously reduces your taxable income. Well, when you're 1099, um, there isn't tax being paid to the government or to the state. Um, so from that perspective, you have to do it yourself, and that's why tax planning is so important. So, this is times where quarterly estimates often get ignored. People treat side income like extra, so that those are people that, if you're treating side income as extra and you're not keep, a separate account where it's for taxes, like you're going to have a hefty tax bill. And I've seen this numerous times with people that are very strong in the business world and they can generate income uh, from their side hustles, but they're not putting the adequate amount of tax away to ensure that they can fulfill their tax obligations. Um, the second one is promotions, bonuses, commissions. So withholding doesn't always match reality. So this is where a good CPA could help you think about, okay, if you're expecting a $20,000 bonus in Q4, well, how much of that withholding how much should we put aside for taxes or have withheld? And how does that kind of formulate into your entire picture for the year? And not just your picture, but maybe it's your spouse's picture as well, and pulling all that together and seeing, okay, where are you going to be from a taxable income perspective with these bonuses and commission checks or whatever coming through. Um, so I think with bonuses and commissions, there's a lot of opportunity for higher taxable or higher tax brackets creep. So you get a hefty bonus, and maybe you were in the 24% tax bracket, and you get a $80,000 bonus, and now that moved you up to the next bracket, right? And if you had been planning your taxes on that 24% tax bracket, well, now you're going to have a large delta between whatever that 24 tax bracket and the next tax bracket behind that is. So you want to make sure that you're being thoughtful and being planful around the things that are kind of evolving throughout the year and how that's changing your tax position. Number three is equity and restricted stock units. So, vesting doesn't necessarily equal cash. Um, so you could have taxes that are owed before liquidity. So this is oftentimes where I tell founders that we want to be very thoughtful about our valuations. We want to be thoughtful about how we are issuing stock options or how we're issuing equity to individuals, right, to not create phantom gains. So what a phantom gain is, like, you are due to pay taxes on said equity that you received, but you haven't actually received the cash for that equity because the company hasn't had a liquidation event. So um, something for us to be very careful about, and it's very prevalent uh, in a lot of people, especially early founders, early entrepreneurs, because they're just not aware, and honestly, they're moving at the speed of light to just try to get to market and find product market fit. That oftentimes some of these things are forgotten, and quite frankly, they're spending all their money on growth and not so much on compliance. It's kind of an afterthought. So just a couple of things that will be good for you to have a good handle on, and make sure that you have a good attorney that's drafting your legal documents whenever you're issuing equity to either yourself or other individuals. The last one, multiple income streams. So stacking income pushes effective rates higher. So if you have multiple income streams that you're operating on, which is great. We just need to be prepared from a tax perspective to be able to handle that. Um, so the next segment I want to talk about is why do smart people avoid tax planning? And I think it's for a few reasons. Emotional reasons, which are, fear of bad news, guilt for doing well, belief that planning is for the wealthy people. Um, uh, Other practical reasons are confusing terminology, bad past experience. So maybe you worked with a tax professional in the past and it didn't go as well, and maybe you have built some animosity is not the right word, but I'm going to use it. For animosity for working with tax professionals, and you don't trust them, right? Um, these are all reasons why very smart people that are doing really good things financially avoid taxes. And I see it. I've seen it with a few um, different people over the course of my life of working with in tax. Really, really wealthy people that are avoidant to tax. Um, so the last thing I want to talk about is planning versus actually filing. So filing is your reporting history. Like you file your return every single year. It's in the archives. You have the history, so you can see how you did year to year. Planning is helping you shape the future. So filing is really like retrospective and like I would say reactive, and planning is more proactive. Like we want to shape where we're going. Most people only engage on taxes once per year, and that's when it's time to file. And quite frankly, I think that's flawed because the big consequence for that is there's no time to adjust behavior, and then there's no time to optimize decisions. So I would suggest that you're at least talking to your tax professional quarterly. One, that's going to help you stay up to date on like any regulation changes. Two, it's going to help them be up to date on any changes that are occurring with you. If you are getting bonuses throughout the year and you're not communicating that with your tax professional, well, it's out of sight, out of mind for them. And that's going to lead to not very good news for you come April. So, uh, it's a working relationship, right? Like anything, we have to meet each other where we are, and we have to understand that this is a working relationship. And just like you want your CPA or your accountant to show up and be able and be knowledgeable about the laws and be able to put you in the best tax advantage position, your CPA or accountant also expects you to do your part by providing that information in a timely, effective manner with receipts that allow us to do our work and streamline that work. So I'm going to end this episode by saying, if you are due a refund this year and you're going to get a refund, I encourage you to find someone next year that can help you try to get that as close to zero as possible. I would love for you to be able to capture and bring that money in back into your paychecks on a biweekly, semi-monthly, whatever the tempo is that you get paid on, and stop lending the government your money. Um, the second thing is if you are behind in taxes, the best thing you can do is set up a payment plan. Don't avoid the IRS. Don't avoid this your whatever your state revenue department is. Like go if you're behind and set up a payment plan so you can get back on track. And you know, the other thing you should think about is I'm gonna challenge you all is by June, identify yourself a CPA that you can work with that can help you with some tax planning. So, with all that being said, I hope that you learned something today. I hope that you guys are well on your way preparing for your taxes. You should be receiving your W 2s by the end of January, as that's when those are due. You should also be receiving 1099s if you're a 1099 contractor. So let's get out, let's file these returns, let's pay our taxes, let's be a good citizen. Because at the end of the day, as I always say, it's not about how much money you make. The power is in how much money you keep. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Andre Creighton. I really appreciate you all being here with me today. And let's go. I'll see you in the next episode.
Hey, it's your girl Shaletta. Are you over there running low on your insulin supply and worried how you're going to pay for it? Minnesota's Insulin Safety Net programs got you covered. If you have less than a 7-day supply of insulin, you can get a 30-day refill for just $35 at any Minnesota pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org today, print out the application, complete the form, and just take it into your pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org. I'm Shaletta Brundage.
And I'm Patrice Bailey.
Food entrepreneurs are struggling right now, but listen, you don't have to do it by yourself.
That's right, because the Minnesota Department of Agriculture is here to help. Join us on Monday, February 2nd for a free lunch and learn at 11 o'clock.
Wait, did you say free?
I said free.
That's my favorite word.
And you'll love this even better because attendees will get information about grants that help support their farm, food, manufacturing, or cottage food business.
Y'all better hurry up and sign up because space is limited.
So because of that, go to mda.state.mn.us and go to the events page to get registered.
We'll see you there.
Want to own a home, especially your first? Well then, welcome home to the Old National Bank Down Payment Assistance Program. We're here to help you from start to finish and make getting a mortgage a little easier. Plus, you may be eligible for up to $15,000 to use toward your down payment. How's that for a little easier? Everyone deserves a place to call home and a bank to help get them there. Connect with an Old National mortgage lender to learn more. Old National Bank. Get old in your new home.